of Barca, though, just speaking of Barca, they are. I want to read that they claim that Chelsea have offered Bernardo Silva to Barcelona for £67 million.
Yeah.
Just as Romero has claimed, Gerard Romero, who I have to say, I've bantered him a few times as a bit of a laugh. People take the banter too seriously. It's just a joke. He's a top guy. I've always said that he's credible. And he still might win another one, which we'll come on to in a bit. But he has now said that Bernardo Silva is getting closer to FC Barcelona. So we are now at a point where Barcelona can add another signing to this, £67 million worth of Bernardo Silva. I mean, it's I don't know whether to say it's amazing or ridiculous. I'm very conflicted on that, if that makes sense.
I feel like two things can be true at the same time. That is absolutely ridiculous, but also extraordinary, to see a team going this hard, and the types of players that they're bringing in. Bernardo Silva is a world-class player. Like, it's insane. But I also want to just put that out there that, like, just a couple of weeks ago, I do think either Bernardo's, like, agent or even him, like, kind of put a wet towel on, like, this entire Barcelona thing. So, like, when players and agents and stuff like that tell you that their players are not interested in going places, they literally can still go there, because people will say anything when they're unsure if it's actually going to go through. I wouldn't be surprised if this happened, because we've been hearing about it the entire transfer window. And Xavi has some obsession with putting him and Pedri in the middle together and getting Iniesta and him again, whatever. Don't know if it'll work out like that, but whatever. I think with this, I think Bernardo Silva has always wanted to go to Barcelona. There's been some stuff out there about that. He's 27 now, so he's at his peak. And so this is the time to make the move. I do find it interesting that if Bernardo Silva were to leave, the amount of changes that are happening at Manchester City. I don't think that means that they're going to flop or anything like that, but that's a lot of shifting out. And I think at this point, I was reading something about the sales that they've been able to get this summer is the highest that's ever been, for, I think, an English team or something like that. That's what they were saying. And that's not even including Bernardo Silva if he was to go. So it'll be interesting to see who they bring in. I find this interesting right off of the back of the Paqueta news that he would prefer maybe a move to Spurs or Manchester City early on in the window. Arsenal, Newcastle, Spurs, and Manchester City all inquired about him. And if Bernardo Silva leaves, that may be the player that they go for. So that's a lot of new faces, a lot of changes. So it'll be interesting to see. And I feel like not typical Pep players either. Paqueta is not a typical Pep player, so it's interesting. But that also would open up the door maybe for Frankie de Jong to go. I mean, I'm sure that door has been open for a while, but they just made it a lot more convoluted than it needs to be. But if they bring in Bernardo Silva, they have got to get rid of a midfielder, and it probably would be de Jong. So does that put a little smile on your face? A little grin? A little pep in your step.
Well, this is the thing, and it's just a credible source from Germany has just come out in the last 20 minutes and said that De Jong will not be joining Bayern Munich. So there was talk from Sport that Bayern Munich could still come in for him, and that's more music to my ears. I've said all summer, yes, I've had my moments where the news came out that he was willing to sign a new deal. I didn't say I believed it. I just said if that happens, the embarrassment will be mad, right? My biggest fear has not been him not leaving Barca. I've always believed he'll go. However, my biggest fear was Chelsea or Bayern Munich stepping in, or PSG at the time, stepping in and saying, well, we'll give you the same as Man United, but Champions League football, maybe even more money, more stable team. And you kind of look at things now and go, Bayern Munich are not going in for him. With the situation Chelsea are in, and Chelsea right now don't necessarily look more stable than Man United in terms of the way things think and feel. I still think they've got a chance if they go in for him. Of course, it's positive news. I can't see a world where all these players have joined. Bernardo joins for 67 million, plus he's going to be on 150, 200 grand a week. And then they can't afford to register the current players. I read somewhere, and I know this is true, what De Jong is going to get paid next year is the combined wages of Koundé, Kesse, and Lewandowski for 1 year. What he starts getting paid the year after is £35 million per year. which is almost the combined salary of nearly all the new signings, right? So they have to get rid of him to be able to register all these people. I think in the end, what they're going to do is they will get all these people in, an offer. Eventually, an offer will be made to him that he finds to be acceptable. I'm going to guess. I'm going to say between 12 and 13 million euros will be offered. Of course, that won't be a lump sum. It will be paid over a 4-year period in like a monthly salary, just like a sacked manager gets. And I think he'll leave. Then comes the sort of talk of who then gets him. Whether somebody else sweeps in for him. I wouldn't be surprised with the way this window's gone for Man United to go, great, we're going to get him. And then Chelsea come in and go, bang, we'll match your bid. That wouldn't surprise me. But if
Especially
Bernardo,
the way Bowley is moving.
well,
The
yeah,
way Bowley is moving, look at that. What you got to answer over there? Let me look at that homework. Let me see what you're doing.
yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I think that yeah, I'm relatively confident. Relatively confident that
Give me a
that
percentage. How confident are you?
I'm like 80% sure we'll sign De Jong still. No, let me rephrase that. I'm 80% sure De Jong leaves Barcelona. I'm like 50% sure he comes to Man United because I think he's that good. I wouldn't be surprised if another top team has allowed Man United to do all this work, because this is what's crazy about this deal. Because it started at the beginning of the winter. This is what hasn't been reported on enough for me, and I think journalists have not wanted to go out on this limb. Certain journalists have said this from the start. Tom McDermott, Jack Tolbert, Simon Peach, Simon Stone. They've been very resolute. Once the player had been convinced to join, or happy to join if he leaves Barca, they all said the same thing. The deferred wages is holding this up. They've barely reported on it since. Why? Because from a Man United point of view, which is what they report on, there isn't anything new in this situation. Nothing has changed. Man United haven't dragged this deal out. The only thing United are doing that some may perceive as wrong is they're taking a risk in waiting for him to become available or waiting for the situation to be resolved. And of course, when you wait, you lose other targets. They might go elsewhere. And of course, you may end up not having him for the first 2-3 games of the proverbial season. But I still think there's a good chance that Man United get him. I still think there's a massive chance that he leaves Barcelona. The fact they're talking about playing him at centre-back. If Bernardo comes in, with Kessie and Bernardo signing, with Pedri and Gavi getting new deals and being stars, that's 4 midfielders. De Jong ain't starting in midfield.
Yeah,
So he can love that. He can love that double.
well,
You know what I mean? He can love. Listen, it's like I can love a woman as much as I want, but if she moves a new man in, changes the lock, and throws my clothes out, it doesn't matter how much I want to be there. I got to go. I got to move on. Do you know what I mean? I got to move on, and that's where De Jong's at. Like, whether De Jong wanted Man United in May or not, I don't care. Barca don't want him. He's a professional. He has to pick a new club. And unless a better option than Man United comes up, of course United got a chance of signing in. I've been resolute in that opinion. I've had a few moments where I've got a bit scared and worried. I'm a football fan, but that can happen. Your point though on Man City, and I'm gonna come on to Man City in a minute. Actually, I want to.